All right, here we are checking out the blue cards from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. We're going to start with commons, then uncommons, then rares, and within each of those, we're going by mana value as Alex tries to unblurry himself here. First card we're looking at is Consider. Single blue for an instant. Look at the top card of your library and put that card into your graveyard. Draw a card. I wish this title was more of a play on opt, because it's opt, it's surveil opt, right?
Yeah.
I think good, right?
Oh, I think this card's quite good.
Yeah. It plays well with the blue-red spell stuff, plays well with your graveyard stuff, with like blue-white disturb or blue-green self-mill or whatever. I think this is just going to be real strong in this format.
Yeah, so remember how good Opt was in M21, I believe, where it's just you really rely on it for your draw 2 stuff, your spells matter stuff. There's a lot of decks just wanted Opt, basically. I think it's going to play very similar here, where all the things you mentioned, but also there's some very some implicit synergy with the format where you're gonna want the ability to double spell often, right? To turn things back to
flip,
night.
Back to day.
Or sorry, back to day, yeah. So that's a lot of value. As a note, I think cheap cards are going to be at even more of a premium than they are usually because you need the ability to flip back to day at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, this is like you said, it fills your grave. It is good to the instant stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if you wanted 3 of these in your deck and go to 16 lands.
Exactly. I think I'm going C+ here.
Yeah, I would go C+ as well. I think it's really powerful.
Yeah.
All right, and next up on our list here, we've got a Hoarder Zombie. Single blue mana for a 1/2 Defender. Tap 3 untapped creatures you control. Look at the top card of your library. You may put it into your graveyard. So, what are your thoughts on this one, Ethan?
I like it. I think it's cute. I think not the art. I just think it's just a little cheeky turtle up, 1 mana, 1/3. Gives you something to do with your decayed tokens, and so that's good in blue black, or the self mill is good. Self mill is good. I think this is gonna be. I don't know. I don't know how highly I'm gonna pick this card. I think it's probably just a C-, but I'm into this card.
Yeah. So this is I guess here's where we're really gonna get into the whole decayed talk. If you're thinking about your decayed tokens as a resource, well, where are you gonna put that resource, right? Where are you gonna put your accrued value over the course of the game, tokens into that aren't very good in combat? Well, there are some things like we've seen that can sacrifice their value, but we've also got kind of 3 or 4 cards in this set that do what Hoarder Zombie does, where it says tap 3 creatures, you get an effect, right? So if you can kind of, I think you mentioned this on the podcast this week, where this isn't a once per turn thing. You can get to the point where you have you've accrued 5 zombies or whatever, and you're sitting back. You've got some other blockers, and you're just doing this one. Maybe not this one particularly. You want to do multiple times, but some of the other ones for sure.
The 1 damage one in black.
Yeah, the 1 damage one in black.
The tap one in blue.
Too. Yeah. So I think that it looks a little bit like a weird card, and look, this might be a synergy that ends up not panning out, but this is an important card to highlight just what I think blue black wants to do. And if blue black ends up being good and there's no structural problems with the deck in the format, I think this is a card the deck's going to want. So I'm going to start, synergy C+ on this or something.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I was just going to go straight up C-, but sure, I can go synergy C+. I'm excited about this card and this mini mechanic within blue black, because I think there's a world where blue black ends up can have an aggressive, if you get the lords, I think blue black can be aggressive. Yeah, but I also think there's a world where you're just hey, I turtle up and I'm going to chill and I get to get myself mill synergies. I would also not be surprised. This might be more suited to blue green than to blue black even.
Potentially. That's a really good point.
But yeah, I think I like it. I think this is going to be a sleeper card for a little bit.
Yeah, sure. You're going to get these late, right?
Yeah, right. I'm going to be slamming in pack 1, but I won't need to.
And chat's going to be that's a good card.
That's a good card. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Anyways, what's up next?
Otherworldly Gaze. Single blue for an instant. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put any number of them into your graveyard, and the rest back on top of your library in any order. And it has flashback for 1 and a blue. No, thank you.
So it's you remember Dream Twist from original? Innistrad.
That was single blue, mill 3, flashback, 1 and a blue.
Yeah, and you can mill either player, I believe, right? So this is a very similar card to that, and you would play Dream Twist in your heaviest of heavy graveyard synergy decks, right? I don't know for quite the level in this format where we want to be dumping our whole yard into the grave like Innistrad, but I can definitely see decks where this will be a playable. Now, that's, you're the baseline of what you said of nope, don't want this for sure, 100%. But keep this in the back of your head as like, oh, maybe I'm heavy enough, flashback, disturb, where this becomes a real card and you're drawing, 2 cards off of this for, 3 cards maybe at some point. But
there's no Burning Vengeance style. There's no like flashback payoff. Right?
There is a enchantment in blue that pays you for casting cards from the grave. But we'll get to that soon.
Okay, cool. Well, then I'll keep an eye on that. I'm gonna start this at a D.
Oh, for sure. I just wanted to earmark it as
that's fair.
There's a place.
Good call.
All right. Next up, we've got Secrets of the Key. So this is a single blue mana. It's an instant, and it says Investigate. If this spell was cast from a graveyard, investigate twice instead, and the flashback cost is 4 mana. Green and blue.
Yeah, Ancestral Recall, right? Single blue, draw 3. Single blue, draw 3.
Basically.
It's very slow. It's a lot of mana. I don't know. But, flashback synergy, instant synergy. I think decks are going to want a copy of this.
This feels like a card that you kind of want... Well, I was going to say you want in your heavy self-mill decks more than anything else. But then again, 1 mana is pretty trivial to get into the graveyard in the first place. So maybe not, right?
I think your blue-white decks want this. Your blue-green decks want this. Your blue-white decks want this. Your red-blue decks, I think, maybe even want this. It's hard because, red-blue wants consider more than this, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just having this dangling in the grave... I'm not hoping to, cast this up front. But getting this, incidentally in my graveyard or, discarding it or whatever, that's value, man.
We'll know when we cast this card, right? It's again another card. Blue cards are always like this, right? You always got to earmark them as well. If things line up in the right way, this could be very good, or the format could just pan out where it's the synergies didn't come together, or it's just a bit too fast, right? Earmarked as has some power, for sure, but might not get there.
I'm gonna lead on. I think the first copy's a C.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll go with that too.
Okay. What's next here? We got Geistwave. This is 1 and a blue for an instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If you controlled that permanent, draw a card.
Yeah. A little nice modal bounce spell here.
Yeah.
We don't usually... It's kind of funny, just like we were talking about Wrath before. I think Unsummons have also kind of fallen off the train a little bit, where it used to be yeah, I'll play a copy of Unsummon. I'll find some use for it somewhere. But I think the quality of cards has just gotten better, where you don't need to be well, I'm putting this card in my deck to hope to get value when they go to cast their combat trick or whatever at some point, right? So my bounce spells have to be, draw me a card at some point, into the Royal. And this does draw you a card some percentage of the time, but you're going to want to bounce your opponent's stuff more than your stuff. So I think this is a D, right? I don't think that this is a card I'm going to be including in my deck very often. In a spells deck potentially, but I'm going to start with not that interested in it.
Yeah, the problem I think inherently with these cards in limited is not that it's part of what you're saying about the creatures, but also that blue very rarely plays an aggressive tempo game in limited. When it does, a card like this goes up in value. But we don't often see that a lot of the time. Now, I think, like you're saying, in blue-red spells, I think that deck could play that game and is also interested in this synergy. So I think we'll be on the lookout. I think there may be, this might be a little better than a D, but I agree. I think this is generally, I would be surprised if you ever ended a draft and went, dang it, didn't get a copy of Geistwave, I just don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, the other corner case is you're in a deck that has so much card draw that you just don't mind spending 2 mana just to bounce something. You don't mind the card disadvantage where you're just I'm going to be up so many cards, who cares? I just want something that affects the board, basically. But yeah. All right. Next up, we've got Locked in the Cemetery. This is 1 and a blue for an enchantment aura. When it enters the battlefield, enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, if there are 5 or more cards in your graveyard, tap enchanted creature, and then creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step.
I'm kind of into this card, I'm going to be honest. Feels unquenchable thirsty to me. I think getting 5 cards in your yard is going to be tougher than having a desert somewhere.
Yeah.
I like that it's cheap. And I don't know. I think maybe this is going to be a secret like blue, green, gold card, because I think, that color pair often doesn't have access. Like, this is the removal it's going to need to have.
I wonder if Unquenchable Thirst was more of a product of its format where things just happen to line up right for it, because that's been the outlier for like, oh yeah, that's a good version of this effect. And this card has a lot of similarities to it. 2 mana.
2 mana. But have we ever seen another... Well, Bubble Snare was very good too.
Sure, Bubble Snare, but that also had a lot of things where it's like there wasn't a lot of sacrifice. There weren't a ton of things that generated effects on the battlefield. There were some, but I think if this card is good, then the Coven white one is also pretty decent. Now I recognize this
no, come on, that leaves.
This has a lot of the problems that we talked about, though. Like, obviously, the white one has some problems of being an aggressive color, but
it also leaves back a blocker. Problems. It also leaves back a blocker.
Sure, that is true.
I'm saying, like, I recognize the fail case of this. Like, you play this, like, they have a thing that's untapped, and you don't have 5 cards in your graveyard. That is horrible. Mm-hmm. So you need to jump through some hoops for this.
Right. But I think you're arguing against the card.
No, I think it's my guess is this is a blue, green, gold card.
All right, so I think here's another one we're probably gonna diverge on. I'm gonna start this at a D plus or C minus. I think I don't want to give it too low.
Yeah, I'm not going crazy high. I think it's like a C.
Okay, yeah, classic.
No, yeah, I'm not saying this is like insane removal or whatever, but I do think that the cheapness of it, and I think the synergy it's gonna have in self mill decks is gonna be good.
All right, cool. Yeah. So yeah, I'll start off in C plus there.
Okay.
Or sorry, C minus.
We got Shipwreck Sifters, 1 and a blue. For a 1/2 spirit, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. Whenever you discard a spirit card or a card with disturb, put a +1/+1 counter on Shipwreck Sifters.
Weird card. So obviously the idea is you pitch your disturb cards and it becomes a 2/3. I think the fail case is just like too bad of a 1/2. Like 2/3 isn't even that exciting.
You're just not going to have that many disturb cards or spirit cards, right? This is not going to be a 2. Like, sure, if this is a 2 mana 2/3 that loots when it enters the battlefield, that's really good. I don't think that's going to happen that much.
Yeah, maybe this is actually a little bit better than I'm giving it credit for. I'm warming up to it as we go. Like, when you get that case of 2/3. You put a disturb card in the yard, and you've effectively drawn a card there, right?
Yeah, that's great. But I like I'm saying, how much of your deck is gonna be disturb cards or spirit cards? Not that much.
Yeah, a lot of them are uncommons. To be fair, right? Yeah, I'm gonna start this at like a C minus, and I think that it's tough here because the difference between when you do it and when you don't do it is pretty large. Right.
Yes, that's the point I'm trying to make is that, like, and I think that bad part of the card is going to happen way more often, like 70-30, 75-25, I don't know.
They play well together, technically, right? You can bench additional copies.
That's why I love playing bad cards to make your bad cards better.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually going to start this at like a C minus, I think. I do think that, like, in a very in a disturb deck where you have like 7 copies of disturb cards or 7 disturb cards, this is going to be a pretty good card.
Yes, agreed.
But even the case where like you discard a flashback card, it's not that bad, right? It's a 1/2. Sometimes it like blocks smallish things. I'm reaching a bit here, but I
think we can move on.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think this is a C minus for me.
Great.
All right. Next up, we've got Startle. So this is 1 and a blue. Instant. Target creature gets -2, -0 until end of turn. Create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed and draw a card. Pretty enticing. A lot of words on the card for only 2 mana. It's a Shocking Grasp, I think it was from AFR, but you also get the Decayed token.
So here's the thing. I feel like you're often high on these like cantripping -X -O blue cards, right? Mm-hmm. I just feel like we never play them.
Well, I mean, Shocking Grasp we didn't, but the other ones we did, right? We played Fairy Duelist, we played Zulaport Duelist.
Those are tacked on to creatures.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'm saying the trick effects, the ones that are like 3 mana -2/-0 draw a card, whatever. These -4/-0, whatever they are. Like -4/-0 investigate. Like, I don't know. I'm not. Like the Decayed token is enticing to me, and I think some decks are going to really want this.
Yeah. This is the card that tipped me off to kind of that energy thought, where it's like accruing a little bit of a resource, but it's not a full card by any means, So like, yeah, I think there's a lot of crossover too, where like spells decks just want like a cycling card some percentage of the time. Look, I'm not high on the card at all, but I think you're gonna put this in some of your. So starter C-. It's more of it's a synergy card. It's not like anything more than that.
Mm-hmm. Unblinking Observer is 1 on a blue for a 2/1 homunculus. And as tap, add blue, spend this mana only to pay a disturbed cost or cast an instant or sorcery spell.
Do you like this style of card?
I like it better when it has 1/3 stats and not 2/1 stats.
It's funny. I kind of like it the opposite way, because like I feel like my 1/3 was it doesn't trade when I need it to.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I don't know.
But I guess in this set it blocks decay tokens. 1/3 1/3 block. Yeah, I mean these. We've seen this kind of effect before. There's the one from Call of Time, that does for cast your foretell spells and stuff like that. These end up
that was not good, right?
Yeah, these end up playing out not great generally. But if we are in that world where we have 14, 13, 12 spells in our deck, maybe this when you're getting to the point where this actually adds mana for a lot of your cards, maybe we can start talking, right? So like I think it's so tough to we're gonna be stumbling a lot through a lot of these blue cards, because that's just what happens, because you have to kind of jump through these hoops of like, well, in this pocket of synergy blue deck, you want this a little bit, and prioritize this just a little bit more, right? So I guess a button to put on this would be like, it's probably going to be a C if you have a lot of instant sorcerers in your deck. If you don't, you're just not going to want to play the card, really.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go C- on this to start.
Yeah, that's totally fair enough. All right, so we've got Bait Hook Angler. So this is a 2 mana, 1 in a blue for a 2/1. And it's got Disturb, 2 mana. Disturb side is a flying 1/2. What did this guy have to do in his living life to be reincarnated as a Stormcrow?
Yeah, I like this card.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
This is just a good little 2-for-1. I think it's a C+.
Yeah, trades off, comes back. Yeah, solid. I would give it a C still. I don't think it's like super impactful, but yeah.
I think it's good. I don't know. I feel like that's maybe there are going to be some better blue commons, but that feels like a top one to me. Next up is Component Collector. 2 and a blue for a 1/4, perfect stats. It's a homunculus as well. If it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as it enters the battlefield, and whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, you may tap or untap target non-land permanent.
So weird. I don't think you want this.
I don't think so either.
Sometimes
I don't know where this goes.
It's so weird. Yeah,
right.
I'm just out on this. I'm just
like what? Like make this a zombie, and I'm like way more excited about it. Right?
It's really cute. Like
it's very cute. It's very cute. I think
homunculus.
I'd say
I'm just gonna give this a D.
Yeah, I think D sounds good to me.
All right, moving on. We've got Falcon Abomination. This is 2 and a blue, 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer. It's a zombie bird. When Falcon Abomination enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 black zombie creature with Decayed.
I just think Decayed is really cool in this format, and I'm in on this card.
I'm really excited to see how it plays out. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's like got these. It's a little bit finicky. It's a little bit unintuitive, but I'm in the camp of it has the potential to be pretty powerful. Even Initiate, this card is not. It's for more of the spark, but it's like Windrig adds some energy potentially. I like this card. I think this card's pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of want to start C+ here.
Yeah, I would give it C+. One of the things back in Call of Time, I gave a little spiel about Windrakes and how we don't. Windrakes kind of suck, but one of the things I've learned actually, I think, is that it doesn't take too much on your Windrake to actually be a pretty decent card, right? Like if your Windrake gives you some resource or some mana reduction or something, I'm usually pretty happy about that. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one a C+.
I also think that just the making of the 2 bodies is going to be relevant, as we did see the Larder zombie. We're going to see another card in blue, and we haven't even gotten to the black one yet. Anyway, I think there's going to be a lot there. Flip the Switch is next. 2 and a blue for an instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 4. Create a Decayed zombie token.
A lot of the same going on here, right? It's like these spells that we've seen before with that little zombie Decayed bonus on top of it. I would say that this is, you're gonna want this if you have instants. That's generally the requirement for playing counter spells. Other instants.
This is quite effectively a hard counter. And pay 4 is a lot.
Yeah, that's good to bring that up. I think a lot of people might look at this and go, "Oh, doesn't this I'm not guaranteed to counter this spell." And especially with flashback in the set, where your opponents are going to be casting, they're going to be tapping 7-6 mana sometimes. You're going to get your cards worth there, right? So
that's it. I'm gonna probably just be on D+ here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's like synergy-ish, right? Just like we were talking about.
And also a little awkward with day-night stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
You being the blue player, do you really want to pass and not cast anything to flip? It's a little dicey.
Yep, I agree.
Here we go, folks.
Yeah.
Devious Cover-Up is back. 2 blue for an instant counter target spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. You may shuffle up to 4 target cards from your graveyard into your library. Hello, Nurse.
Really cool reprint.
Yes.
I like, So I guess, Ethan, you want to explain to the fine folks, or maybe people that weren't playing.
Sure. So if you didn't play,
why this card is better than it looks.
So this, if you played with Clear the Mind or whatever, but basically, if you have 2 copies of Devious Cover-Up, if your opponent doesn't interact with them in terms of countering them or removing them from your graveyard, you can never deck, because one shuffles the other in. Now, of course, your opponent could just not cast stuff to make it so you couldn't cast it, but you could even, you could even counter your own stuff if you really needed to not deck. So if you have 2 Devious Cover-Ups, you can loop them and then effectively not deck. And then, so it does set up that sort of like, if you don't die, you win the game style of play that you had with these like Dimir Devious Cover-Up decks, or with the Clear the Mind deck, Stove and Acuity style, and Ravnica Allegiance, whatever. This is a really cool include in this set.
Yeah, it's I think it remains to be seen whether it's going to return to its former glory that it was when it was actually quite a good card there. Like it was a card you wanted, 2 copies of in a lot of your Dimir decks. What made it so great in the Dimir decks was they were playing this hard control game with a lot of instants a lot of the time. So unclear if we're going to get to that, but if we are there, it's a great card. And it's going to, I'm going to start it at a C+ because it has a lot of potential. Could see coming around to being a little bit lower on it though. Yep,
agreed.
All right, next up we got Organ Hoarder. This is 3 and a blue, 4 mana for a 3/2 zombie. When Organ Hoarder enters the battlefield, look the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest into the graveyard.
Holy cow.
It's a lot. It does a lot.
Holy cow. So, we've seen a lot of cantripping creatures in the past year. We've seen Jiraga Visionary, which was not good. 4 mana, 3/2, ETB draw card. Green had some problems in Zendikar Rising, whatever, a little understated. Types didn't matter. We've seen Llanowar Visionary. 2 mana, 3 mana, 2/2, ETB draws a card, taps for green. Very good, but still not the best green common in that set. Priest of Ancient Lore, good. Owlbear, good. This is more than draw a card.
Yeah, it's quite literally draw a Visionary with additional text on it.
With relevant types.
Party mattered, yeah. Relevant type. Well, yeah, this also
this actually has relevant types though.
Yeah, for real.
And this you get to impulse or whatever, anticipate, but then the cards go to the yard, and so you're all just imagine drawing a card and binning a flashback card or a disturb card here. Plus this. It's a 3-for-1.
So what do you want to give it?
What's the highest grade I'm allowed? I would like to give this a B-.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with that.
This card
passes.
This card seems nuts to me.
All right, what's up next?
Revenge of the Drowned. 3 and a blue for an instant. Target creature's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. You create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed.
Yep, it's like they just pulled out all these classic blue cards we've seen in the past, and then said, let's add that decay text onto it. This is Griptide.
Yeah. This is removal. Just so folk, I feel like it's really hard to clock this kind of effect. This is effect. You are killing the thing, and it just so happens that if they want to, they drew another copy of it next turn.
Yeah, it's basically it is really good removal versus medium to bad creatures and mediocre versus good creatures. Because when you put their medium creature on top, it's actually like better than a removal spell a lot of times because they have to redraw it.
Well, but they
right?
get to choose if they don't want to. They
Put it on the top. My bad. Yeah. This isn't just script type. My mistake. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, so
if they don't want to draw it, they don't have to draw it.
Right,
but then it's still
it's
a removal spell.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. On board with everything you said then.
It's still 4 mana, but it's instant speed, and you get a little Decayed token. I don't know. See?
Yeah, I like seeing this.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Next up, we got Gale Drifter. This is 3 and a blue, so 4 mana for a 3/2 flyer. Disturb 5 mana, 4 and a blue, and turns into Whale Drifter. It's a 2/2 flyer.
Yeah, so it's one of the few ones that feels like it's a downgrade. But it's still a 2-for-1. I think this is still a C+.
Yep. I like this as well. Not much more to say.
This has some we're now seeing tension here. We have 3 good 4-drops in a row.
Totally, yeah.
And I no doubt I think Organ Hoarder is the best of the bunch. But there's a little tension there, I think, in terms of, and one of the reasons I like doing this in mana value order. Next up is Drownyard Amalgam. This is 4 and a blue for a 3/6 zombie horror. When it enters the battlefield, target player mills 3 cards. Pro tip, target player is you. And 2 and a blue, Drownyard Amalgam can't be blocked this turn. Wow.
Yeah, that's so I feel like they've slowly over time upgraded this card to just be like, let's just push it a little bit, shave a mana off there, add a toughness, right? We had
this in War of the Spark as a 3/5, but it was uncommon, and the activated ability to make it unblockable was 4 mana, right? Oh, we lost your audio there, Alex.
Oh, sorry, I lost you for a second. Yeah, I was saying we just had the one in Strixhaven too, the 3/5.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. Right.
Yeah, and so this is a lot of little things. It blocks really, really well. 3/6 is massive, right? They can't. It's not like a wall where they can just go like, all right, it's a lot of toughness, but whatever, I can just attack. They're going to have like a 4 toughness creature to attack into this thing if they want to attack with a lot of creatures. So, yeah, I mean, it's a 5-drop, but it's a pretty darn good one.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm getting it reversed. It was common in War and uncommon in Strix. I think I'd still just give it a C, but like you're not loading up on these. You don't need to prioritize it. If blue is open, you'll get access to one.
Yep, but it's a 5.
This like plays defense super well, and then when you can, it just closes out the game. It demands to be answered.
It has the distinction of being a 5-drop. I'm pretty happy to play. Probably,
Probably, he said. How about this one? Stormrider Spirit, 4 and a blue, 3/3 flash flyer.
Not so much.
I think it's weird because I think in blue, all this like instant speed stuff kind of gets a knock because unless you're playing like maybe you got some werewolves in your blue-green deck and then you like want to flip. But like, what if you're playing against a werewolf deck?
Yeah, I just think it's like synergies aside, and I don't think this ad card has much the synergies of your deck really. It's a 3/3 flyer for 5.
It's not good.
Like it's not. Yeah, it's we've seen this card a few times in the past, and 5, 6, 7 years ago it wasn't good. Creatures have gotten better, and I think this card probably gets worse.
Yeah.
So yep.
D
I'm on. I'd give this a D.
D. Yeah, I'm fine with D. That sounds good.
All right.
It's our first uncommon here.
Oh, sorry. Just had to open the thing.
Mm-hmm.
My bad. All right. Our first uncommon here is Fading Hope, and it's a single blue mana for an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If its mana value was 3 or less, you scry 1.
I mean, it's unsummon with upside, but I still losing you again, buddy.
Oh, sorry. Hey,
yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable card. We were just talking about unsummons and how they're not, fantastic. I think you'll play this some amount of the time. The scry is pretty nice, right? Just being able to kind of, it's not quite a cantrip, but it does matter. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a high pick or anything. So I'd probably still just start this at like a D+.
Yeah, I think I want the common one over this.
Yeah. I think that's.
Like I'd rather have the option of drawing a card, bouncing my own thing, than scrying one to bounce a small thing.
Yeah, this seems a little bit more like a constructed-ish card where it's like, unsummon with a little bit of upside.
It's back, baby. Delver of Secrets. Single blue for a 1/1 human wizard. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card if an instant or sorcery card is revealed this way. Transform Delver into Insectile Aberration, which is a 3/2 flyer.
So, last time, I think, if you played original Innistrad, the consensus on the card ended up being you should only put this card in your deck if you're at that, 14 instant or sorcery mark I was getting at. And even then, it's, not that big of a payoff, right? You need to land it on turn 1 for it to be, really, really threatening. It's kind of cool because you get multiples of these, which isn't that likely because
But they rarity shifted it, right? So
yeah, they rarity shifted it.
They just effectively nerfed it for limited, which is a very strange thing.
Yeah, totally.
It must have been too good or something. That's hard to imagine, though.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I think that this is, this is going to fall under the probably gets more play than it should because it's a famous constructed card category, right? Or a well-known constructed card. I think this is you can put this in your deck as a build around C if you have that really high instant sorcery count, but you generally shouldn't draft this card highly, and you're not going to want to be playing it very often.
Yeah, I'm going to just start at a D.
A D.
D for Delver. Right?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
All right, what's up next?
All right, we got Skob Wrangler. So this is another one of those zombie payoff cards for you having decay cards. So this is 1 and a blue for a 2/1, and the ability here is tap 3 untapped creatures you control, tap target creature.
This card is very strong. So just imagine you have somehow accrued 2. We've seen they're incidental. These decayed tokens are incidental.
Mm-hmm.
They come tacked onto whatever, right? Card affects you, expect to pay 4 mana for a Griptide. Here's a decayed token, whatever. You get 2 of them. This is just tap a thing. This is just a free tapper.
Which is powerful.
Which is very powerful.
Yep.
I don't think it's hard to set this up. I think this is really strong. I think this is at least a B.
Yeah, I don't even think you need to be that zombie heavy, right? It's going to be nice because a lot of your blue cards are just incidentally going to make those decay tokens we were talking about. Mm-hmm. But this isn't the worst card. It's just okay, 2 mana card. I can trade it off in the early game, or in the late game I draw it, and I can tap down some number of creatures to tap down their biggest thing, right? Mm-hmm. I think B is a little bit high. I'd probably start at a C+ probably. But
oh wow,
yeah, I'm a little bit lower on the card.
I think this card's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Next up, we have Covetous Castaway. 1 and a blue for a 1/3 human. When it dies, mill 3. Love to see it.
Yeah.
It's disturbed for 3 blue, and it comes back as a 3/4 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you may shuffle up to 3 target cards from your graveyard into your library. Loopity-loop.
Yeah, it's a little not quite clear the mind D, but kind of has a little bit of that vibe going on. Yeah. This is a good one. Yeah, I like this one quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it has so many different synergies, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's doing the disturb thing. It's doing the graveyard thing. It's doing the loop-de-loop thing. It's also just a good 5 mana 3/4 flyer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It gives you value on enter, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of something.
Is it enters? No.
Oh, sorry, when it dies. It gives you value when it dies. A lot of the we've definitely touched on this, but just reiterating again that milling a few cards is often going to be drawing a card in the right deck, right? Mm-hmm. So that front side alone is not even that bad if you had to put that in your deck. So I like this card. B-.
Yeah, I'm gonna go give it another B.
Sweet, yeah, let's do that.
I think it's very good.
All right, next up we've got an old classic. Dissipate. So this is 1 blue for a instant counter target spell and exile it instead of going to the grave,
which is relevant for disturb and totally. Flashback, but still, I think you probably rather have the one that makes a decayed token most of the time, to be honest.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So I think again I'm go D+ here.
Yeah. It's not gonna be a high pick or anything.
No.
Decent sideboard card though.
Nebelgast Intruder. Here's a -2/-0 I can get behind. This is 2 and a blue for a 2/1 spirit with flash and flying, and when it ETBs up to 1 target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-0 until end of turn.
Sweet. Yeah. Good, this is little trick. The baseline on this, just a flash 2/1 flyer, not the worst, and then it's a little tricksy. So solid card. I don't know, C+.
C+, I like it. Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Not quite a pull into anything, but a good.
So here's another one of those
nonetheless.
This next one's one of those trickier cards to evaluate. It's 2 and a blue. It's Ominous Roost.
Oh, this is the card. Okay.
Yeah, so it says when Ominous Roost enters the battlefield, or you cast a spell from your graveyard, create a 1/1 blue bird token with flying, and this creature can only block creatures with flying.
So this is nice that it makes it on ETB, right? So you're still affecting the board in a way. It's not spawning-esque because, you can't block with it. I'm going to come in and think that this is a good build around. It's tough. It's tough because you say build around, but like everybody should want the Disturb and the Flashback cards, right? Because they're very powerful.
It's tough. I've been like thinking of this card for a while, and so it's basically it's weird because it incentivizes you to like slow down the game so you can like do this value engine thing, but it doesn't help you do that really, right? Like it helps you close out the game a little bit faster. And maybe you could argue that it gives you this inevitability where it's just like, there's no way they can get through your 5 birds attacking. But I don't know, it doesn't help you get to that late game that really like it doesn't have synergy with itself in a way, right? It's fighting a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, maybe it's just bad. I just find it is rare, I think, for them to print a card like this and it not be good.
Yeah, that's my I'm always of that opinion too. So, and that like pushes me in the direction of I think it might be good. I'm gonna start a little bit cold on this one. I'm gonna give it a C. But again, another one that's earmarked as could easily see this going up.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go. I'll go build around B-. I mean, we're saying the same thing probably.
Yeah, most likely. All right, what's up next?
Up next is Mysterious Tome, which is 2 and a blue for an artifact, 2 tap, draw a card, transform Mysterious Tome into Chilling Chronicle. 1 tap target non-land permanent, transform Chilling Chronicle.
What a great name. Weird and cool card. So it's like a 2 classic artifacts. We got the Icy Manipulator and the Jam Day Tome, sort of, right? So basically, if you've got some spare mana lying around, then you're going to be drawing a card and gaining some life essentially each turn, which is a nice little combo, right? You'd prefer it to stay on the tap, something side, most likely, but
it's so awkward, right? Because so you tap Tome, to draw a card, then it's tapped.
Yes.
When it transforms.
Yeah, so you can't do it in the same turn. You can't spend like 3 mana to do both.
So you're tapping something every other turn and then drawing a card every other turn?
Essentially, yeah.
Oh, I don't really like that. I'm going to be honest. I don't
like
interesting.
I think it's pretty decent. Like, this is a pretty good thing to do if you've stabilized the board, and it helps you stabilize the board.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I'm kind of out on this card personally.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like it. I'm not like super high on it. I'd still give it like a C, but
yeah, I think I'm going like I'm gonna go D+ on this to start.
All right, fair enough. It reads as powerful to me, but I could be a little too high on it.
Ben, you're cheating. You can't be here.
Surprise appearance.
All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Overwhelmed Archivist. This is 2 and a blue for a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card, then discard a card. And it has Disturb for 4 mana, 3 and a blue. And the backside is a 2/1 flyer, and it says when it attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. That's pretty powerful.
This card's great.
Yeah. It's fine front side.
Front side's good. Backside's good.
Yeah, the backside's quite powerful actually. Just like looting each turn on your flyer.
B-?
Yeah. B-. Let's do it.
I like it. Stop. I just want to enter the spreadsheet. All right. Next is Firmament Sage. 3 and blue for a 2/3 human wizard. If it's neither day nor night, it becomes day as Firmament Sage enters the battlefield, and when day becomes night or night becomes day, draw a card.
So it's not always going to draw you a card on entry, right?
No, it's going to rarely. I mean, yeah, if it's night. No, it's not going to draw you a card. Period. It enters the battlefield and becomes day from something. You can't change. It doesn't change it to night when it ETBs.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah. My bad. Okay, yeah, never mind then. Yeah, because you're going from the neutral state. Yeah, you're correct. Okay, so then
I'm kind of out on this too. That's too low stats.
yeah, it like sits around, draws you some cards sometimes, but this stats really do matter.
Yeah, I'd go like. Actually,
C minus.
I'm gonna go D plus. This card is poop. All three of those blue commons that we saw that are 4 mana are better than this.
Yes, I think
so.
That, yeah,
this is a D plus.
The hoarding ogre, or no, not hoarding ogre, or Oregon hoarder. That's such a hard card to say.
Yeah,
yeah, that card is definitely better.
The Verger.
Yeah, it's tough. We just had hoarding ogre, now we have Oregon hoarder.
Yeah, that is tough.
All right, next up we've got Vivisection. So this is a reprint. It's 3 and a blue for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this, you sacrifice a creature, you draw 3 cards.
It's a lot of cards.
Yeah, 3's a lot for the first 3 for 4 mana. Obviously, the idea here is you sacrifice a decay token, or you can sacrifice a disturb card too. That works too. I don't know. There's sets where like raw card draw is good. There's sets where raw card draw kind of suffers. We've seen more often than not lately raw card draw suffering.
Yeah, I would guess in a set with flashback and disturb, raw card draw is worse.
Yeah, I would think so too. But three cards is a lot. I don't think I'm going to be starting high on this just because like there's a lot of places to put your mana, and it has a little bit of setup. So I think I'm going to give this like start at a C minus probably.
Yeah, I'm in for C minus as well.
Sweet.
And our last uncommon here is Phantom Carriage, Lord's Limited Preview card. 4 blue for a 4/4 spirit with flying. When it ETBs, you may search your library for a card with flashback or disturb, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle. I like this card a lot.
Yeah, sweet. It's well statted. It's a little bit smaller than you'd expect for 6 mana, but not by a lot. But
it's drawing you
a lot of value.
Drawing you a spell. Like
totally. Yeah, really like that card.
Yeah, I think this is great. This feels
B minus?
B minus, yeah. B.
I can see this being a B too.
I can see this being a B. I think it's definitely a pull into blue. I don't really want to get in the weeds of how much it is, But
I'm gonna give it a B. I think that's good enough for that.
Great. I like
All right, moving on to the rares and mythics. We've got Spectral Adversary as our first mythic here. It's a 2 mana, 1 in a blue, 2/1 flash flyer. So that's pretty good to start with. And it says when it enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 in a blue any number of times. So this is part of that cycle of mythics. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Spectral Adversary, then up to that many other target artifacts, creatures, and or enchantments phase out. So it scales, gets a little bit bigger, and you can kind of just say that doesn't exist for a while. And it's cool because it can stop attackers. It can just say these 2 things, they're gone until your next turn, they can't attack.
Yeah. And this is definitely worse than the white one by.
Oh yeah, this isn't a bomby bomb by any means, but it's a nice little efficient card for sure.
Yeah, I guess you can cast this in response to removal as a.
That's also great.
4 mana 4/3 or whatever.
Yep. So I think this card is like good enough, just like very clean, very good base rate, plus flexibility, plus modality, plus scalability. I think that adds up to like a high B. So I would give this a B plus.
B plus, yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm into it. A lot of text there.
Sweet, yeah.
Triskaidekaphile is 1 and a blue for a 1/3 human wizard. You have no max hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 13 cards in your hand, you win the game, and you can pay 3 and a blue to draw a card.
Okay. So I mean, these cards tend to be okay. These like small creatures that sit around and draw cards if you have the time and the mana. You can just trade it off early if you need to. The 13 text is essentially flavor text, but it'll happen a small percentage of the time. I think this is like a probably like a B minus level card. Your opponent needs to kill this thing or they're gonna lose pretty quickly.
It's Azurmage.
Yeah, it's Azurmage, exactly. I think maybe C plus, maybe B minus.
No, I think this is a pull into blue for me.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I'm gonna go B minus on it. I'll stick with my original.
B minus, I like.
My original gut check on it. All right, up next we've got Malevolent Hermit. So this is 1 in a blue for a 2/1. Has the ability blue, sacrifice this card, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3. So not it's cheap enough that you can kind of hold it up for not a lot of mana, and it'll mess up their removal spells for the most part for the early part of the game. Okay, so not an awful front side. And the back side has Disturb. This is 2 and a blue Disturb. It's a 2/2 flyer, and it says non-creature spells you control can't be countered. So not super relevant. It's just going to be a Windrake. It's solid. It's nothing backbreaking or anything. But, well, I say that, but there's going to be games where your opponent really has to kill something. You got this lying around. It's like, oh, man, like, that is pretty brutal.
Yeah, I think this pushes into B- for me.
I think so too. It's
I think that front side is really annoying. You're just gonna be looking at your like 4-mana kill spell or whatever and go, oh, cool.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. Yeah, I like B-.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got Suspicious Stowaway. This is 1 and a blue for a 1/1 human rogue werewolf. Can't be blocked. When it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, then discard a card. And it has Daybound, Nightbound, so the backside is a 2/1 that can't be blocked. And when it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card.
Wow.
I like this card a lot.
Yeah, it's got the Wanty Malazan feel, sort of, right? So, the front side alone, just a looter that's, a looter that...
Discard
like
your flashback, discard your disturb.
Exactly,
whatever.
Yeah. You know where I'm going with this,
I know.
Ethan. We've been around the block enough times, right? And then if it flips, it just starts drawing real cards, not pseudo cards, which is also great. Fragile for sure, but
it's a 2-drop. Like how you can't be mad about a fragile 2-drop.
They're gonna it's definitely gonna be a grown tester when they play this on turn.
Right. You play this on turn. If you play this on turn 2 on the play and your opponent doesn't have a 2-drop, you win.
Yeah, it's because the thing is, even if you say they get a few hits in, and then you draw a removal spell a few turns later, they still accrue a decent amount of advantage, right? And it's going to be tough.
This might just be an A-.
I was going to give it an A-.
I was like B+ because it's not really a bomb, but like it kind of is.
Yeah, it just demands an answer so quickly.
Yeah, I agree. A- for Suspicious Stowaway. Holy cow, that card.
All right, next up we've got Patrician Geist. This is 2 and a blue for a 2/2. It's a Spirit Knight. Flying, other spirits you control get +1/+1, and it says spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a fine little card. Nothing too special, but you're happy to play it. I think you're probably going to take the best
all
of
the
commons.
no, the Disturb cards aren't like all spirits, are they?
Yeah, they are.
All the backsides are spirits?
Yep.
That is very good.
Yeah. You actually take it back. I said you're probably going to top uncommons, but I don't know. This might just be better than the majority of the uncommons.
No, I mean like the Seafaring Werewolf isn't or whatever, but I guess that's not a Disturb card. That's Daybound Night.
Yeah, it's a werewolf card.
Sorry. Yeah, I like this as like a B.
Yeah, I think I would even bump it up to B+, I think. Just like the Lord plus making your Disturb cards a little bit cheaper to come back. That's pretty nice.
You're getting a lot of bang for your buck there.
Exactly, yeah.
Poppet Stitcher is next. 2 and a blue for a 2/3 human wizard mythic. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you make a decayed token. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more creature tokens, you may transform Poppet Stitcher into Poppet Factory. It's an artifact. Creature tokens you control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 3/3. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may transform Poppet Factory. Oh, baby. Yes, please.
Those decayed creatures or decayed tokens, you real actual factual tokens that can
and then once they die, you just go, okay, back to
work.
Back to work.
Yeah. This is a really good card. It's just little. I wouldn't say it's a build around, but when you have this card, you want to prioritize more spells for sure, right?
Yeah.
Really great card. A-, maybe just an A.
I feel like it's an A-. Yeah.
All right, yeah. Let's give it an A-. All right, up next we've got Grafted Identity. So this is 2 blue for an aura. It says as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Enchant creature. You control the enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. So it's a 4-mana mind control that buffs the creature. And you have to sack something.
This is the downside of there's a 2.
Whatever.
But with Decayed, it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah. That's I think that's mostly the idea. Or a disturbed creature. You don't mind sacking the front side of your disturbed creature, or just any.
Have you seen?
You're pretty happy to 2-for-1 yourself to just steal their best thing a lot of the time too, right?
Yeah. The Dunks is saying what I wanted to say. Have you seen the thing, the meme that this is Nicolas Cage from Face Off?
Oh, that's so good. No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's the
Wow, it really does
the
look
Nick
like
Cage Invitational card here.
The world wanted it. They finally gave
Yeah,
it to
well,
us.
that's true. I didn't know I wanted it, but now that I
Yeah,
see it, I
exactly.
know I definitely needed it. Yeah, this is an A.
Sweet. Yeah, I agree.
Um,
All right, what's up next?
Next up, we've got Memory Deluge. This is 2 blue for an instant. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast this spell. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And it has flashback for 5 blue. Holy crap.
Yeah. So there was a card similar to this, like in M20, I believe. It was basically that dig through time to look at the top 7, but it cost 4 mana. And it was a sorcery, I believe. And that card was pretty good. Dig through time, obviously a pretty good card. And this card is pretty good too. I think, we've been talking down raw card draw a little bit. But
Yeah,
this one has some upsides in the sense that, flashback, of course, casting 2 spells. But digging deep, you get some card selection. And you're at the point with this card, like drawing 4 off your card is a lot of cards. It's more than
drawing 4 of 11, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So this is quite good. I would give this card draw spells, probably closer to the B- range.
I think I'm gonna go a little higher. I'm
a little higher?
I'm gonna go B+ on this.
All right, that's fair. I like my B-, but all right. Next up, we've got Curse of Surveillance. So this is 5 mana for a curse, and it says enchant player. Sorry, 4 and a blue. Enchant player. At the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, any number of target players other than that player each draw cards equal to the number of curses attached to that player. So a little wordy, but basically you put this on your opponent, and then since they have 1 curse on their upkeep, you can say, I want to draw a card. So you draw a card, right? You don't choose your opponent, of course, and if you put more curses on them, you're going to draw more cards, which is not likely to happen. So essentially it's 5 mana, draw a card every one of your opponent's turns.
Seems a little slow to me.
Little slow, little C-word, a little funky.
Yeah, you get the C-word, Curse of Surveillance. It's not C
yeah,
curse,
I'm not a huge fan of this one. I think
this
is like a D.
Yeah, I mean, it might be better than a D, but
maybe a little bit, but not by too much. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't love it. All right, next up is Liar, Disciple of the Drowned, 3 blue for a 3/4 legendary creature, human wizard. Spells can't be countered. Full stop. Each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard has flashback. The flashback cost is equal to that card's mana cost. Boy, howdy, is that powerful.
Yeah, that's really, really good.
That's insane.
Have you ever played with, there's some cubes that have Drawnlu, I think the card is called. It's like a blue-black card from Time Spiral that does this.
Oh, no, I haven't.
It's basically this, but the downside is if it's dealt damage, you sack that many permanents. And this is just like that card, but nowhere close to as bad as a downside. There is no downside, really, right?
No.
This is a really powerful card.
Yeah, this is an A.
Yeah, I'd give this an A, for sure.
All right, last one here. Take us home.
For sure, yeah. Sludge Monster, 3 blue for a 5/5. It's a horror. It says, whenever Sludge Monster enters the battlefield or attacks, put a slime counter on up to 1 other target creature. Non-horror creatures with slime counters on them lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 2/2. Oof, wow.
Whoa. So
a lot going on
5 mana 5/5 comes into play. Your opponent's best card becomes a 2/2.
Yep, just, nope, sorry. Or, you can upgrade your decay tokens.
Your 1/1, yeah, sure. Yeah,
you want your decay tokens, whatever you like.
And then
it generates value on enter. Yeah, this card's real good. This is another A.
Oh my god. Glory, hallelujah. Blue is good and limited again.
Yeah, we revisit this in 2 months, and blue ends up being the worst again, but hopefully it doesn't get bad.
All right, yeah, that's going to do it for blue.
All right, we're making